I don't know if it's their competence, it's their ignorance, a bit of both, or they just don't give a blind bit of crap because I'm a nobody. I don't even have constitutional rights. So said the judges. So said the courts. It's all there in black and white. So cut the crap out. This amendment, that amendment. The only thing that needs to be amended is the culture. The culture of subhumans and subhuman treatment. In the meantime, state of Georgia continues to George Floyd me. Their knee is firmly across my neck, and all and sundry stand by, as they have stood by idly for the past 10 years. And there is no sign of a respite. 10 years and counting since 8:50 a.m., April 11, 2014. Abuse of office and breach of oath of office are both felonies, and many more laws were broken. Agent McCabe of the FBI, at the very least, acknowledged that the more I spoke, the more I had to say, the more the picture became apparent that something very serious and criminal had occurred and was occurring. All they needed was Department of Justice to pull their head out of their ass and do their job for once. Judges willfully not applying law as a crime and making threats and abusive or threatening language utilized by a member of judiciary and or the bar is a breach of code of ethics. That is also a felony. Hard to believe members of US bars have poor legal literary skills, or is it the Connor's mom syndrome? DSM-10 being lined up. Even the General Counsel for the State Bar of Georgia, when questioned, when asked by an eminent attorney, saying, this is what the Department of Law and his senior Assistant Attorney General are doing. It's a serious crime. It's a serious felony. They are interfering with judicial process, somebody's legal representation. Her response was, she laughed her ass off. She found it funny. She said, oh, here, dear, everybody does it. Everybody does it. This was stated by the General Counsel for the State Bar of Georgia. Times, facts, dates, I will provide like I promised. At the end of these podcasts, there will be a list of all personnel, who they are, where they are, what they did, what they were supposed to do, and what they did not do. They're still drawing salaries. The latest comical one I am dying to share with you is where Assistant Attorney General Brennan at Macon Superior Court, in front of the judge, stated that I am going around filing suits causing distress to elderly men. Forgot to mention elderly white men. Elderly white men are still being arrested for pedophilia. In the state of Georgia, elderly white men are still being arrested for lynching of innocent blacks. So it brings back to mind what a former Attorney General of the state of Georgia said to me in company of his so-called best friend and others present. The attorneys in the Department of Law, they're neither competent nor very intelligent and they are overworked. So they have two simple tricks. A sack full of Hail Marys, and they do what the monkey does in the zoo. They throw shit at you and hope some of it sticks. In my case, even the judges threw shit at me. You don't believe me? Go to griftersnet.com, look at the documents, legal documents. They are in court records. I didn't make them. I did not make them. They're all legal documents on record. The Judicial Qualifications Council. This should be the name for a new comedy act, except that they are pathetic excuse for upholders of law or gatekeepers. Pathetic. They should be ashamed of themselves, one and all. And I will tell you what their former presidents, chairman, and the so-called leaders of the state bar did not do. For now, I will just restrict myself to saying, shame on you. You dirty rats. Shame on you. The Judicial Qualifications Council has repeatedly refused to take any action, declaring them as minor transgressions, not worthy of being held accountable. It's there. To me, it seems in the state of Georgia, either people have such low expectations or people really are assholes. So I'm going to tell you, as a judge, or 3 judges in the Court of Appeals, 1 asshole or 3 assholes blowing at you does not make an orchestra. I hope you got the message. Or are you really that stupid? General Counsel Paula Frederick, when questioned at a public forum, laughed and stated that, oh, everyone does that. This was in response to allegation against Senior Assistant Attorney General Shaylin Nelson of her repeated actions of abuse of office and implied threats to Oldenburg and Steiner, their senior partner. In excess of 10 calls were made by her to have Miss O'Toole removed from representing me. As for the FBI, it's been 4 years and more since I reported in person to Agent McCabe at their headquarters in Atlanta. I'm still waiting to hear from them. I have a better chance of God coming down in person than somebody who is duty-bound to hold the corrupt and the criminal accountable. Just remember, GBI acknowledged there are numerous questions to answer, but the jurisdiction lies with the DOJ, and GBI hands are tied. Others, they're busy scratching their own crotch or grabbing somebody's crotch. The irony of it all, the Congress and Senate are full of attorneys, and it seems no one cares about the application of law unless it is to their benefit. The US Constitution, its fundamentals that were laid out in 1787, repeatedly appear as words of fiction. I don't know what else to say. The past 10 years I've been living a nightmare with no job, no money, and no foreseeable source of income. My darling wife, she's crushed under the weight, paying bills. Point to note: when a person challenges in law an entity of the state, they become unemployable. Ask the recruiters, the ones who can tell you the truth. They have access to it. So I'm blacklisted. State ensured my emails were deleted. Oh, there's plenty of ex-cons who are working for the state now. They have gone on TV to say that now they're good guys because they're hacking into other people's accounts on behalf of the state. So it makes them good guys. It is the unwritten but always applicable rule followed by recruiters. The very same was told to me by senior director at Kaiser Permanente in California. People are going to find you too challenging. I state the truth. You ask me a question, I give you an answer, an honest answer, and you find me challenging, hence I have to be buried. I have done no wrong and committed no crime. Yet the criminals are still drawing salaries from the state without fear of accountability. And then comes a paradox where people like Judge Tanya Chutkan, in the case of plaintiff Donald Trump 2021, states, presidents are not kings. Plaintiff is not president. How true? Does it really apply in real life in the US of A, where anything can be bought, especially judiciary? Come down to Georgia. Come down to the South. They do it without shame, so you don't have to go sneaking around. They do it openly. So, Judge Tanya Chutkan, why is it that your fraternity continues to act with impunity and appears beyond the realms of accountability? Oh, hang on a minute. The Supreme Court judges, with a smirk on their face, they give you the middle finger and they say, nobody can hold us accountable. Not even Congress. Isn't that right, Justice Alito? And what have the rest done? Prepared a document that you cannot wipe your ass with, but it's a voluntary code of conduct of kind? I'm really beginning to get sick in the pit of my stomach. Sovereign immunity is attributed to and applicable, especially to the corrupt, who appear as deluded sovereigns, as the one without clothes has done nothing but help to fester and foster corruption. So, welcome to sovereign immunity. Just like eminent domain is there for the rich, the wealthy, the powerful. The rest of us, who gives a crap? You still haven't figured that out? The question has historically hovered in the US halls of justice for what seems like eternity. Year 2024. Nothing will change. Supreme Court will remain the same. There'll be more Fani Willis's and Donald Trump's and the ilk to follow. I'm going to reiterate what follows and appears documented on griftersnet.com will show beyond a shadow of doubt such being the case. No one dares to ask the question why. Why and how does this happen? My question is, why is this allowed to happen. Why, in the name of God, you good Christians? Georgia is reputably the most corrupt state in the country, in continuum, and the DOJ and its website often used to state that fact. It's amazing how all this kind of information is beginning to disappear from the World Wide Web. I shall keep repeating the word racketeering. The proof is there. Department of Justice, get off your ass. The names are there. The actions they took, what they did, it's there. If charges have been applied to Donald Trump, teachers in the state of Georgia, Simon City Rolls gang, former state agency division director and co-conspirators indicted on bribery and racketeering charges for fraudulent contracts. The same applies to the officialdom of the state of Georgia. My head is hurting. I need a break. I think you do too. But please, 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 try to bear with me. If not for your sake, for the sake of your children and the ones who are gonna come thereafter. I am grateful if you're listening to me. And if you're throwing bricks or shit at me, you're only causing harm to your own electronic equipment. Please stay calm and stay safe. Thank you.